Last night, far-left extremists flying the Black Lives Matter flag were quickly ambushed by Portland police from every direction, shutting them down. Nearly every single one of these extremists arrested on the spot in minutes. Mass arrest at small North Portland protest. Could this be the end of the ongoing Portland riots? Well, we've seen lulls in the past. Of course, as you know, these officers have been deputized at federal level. Perhaps. I think what sets this moment apart from the other moments is that the cops swooped in before anything happened, arrested every single one of them. Now, how were the cops able to do this, you may ask? It's because a Black Lives Matter activist snitched on them to the police, and so the cops were able to form a pincer move, both sides swoop in. It was swift and amazing. And this is the kind of police tactics that may actually stop them from coming out, because even though the DA may keep releasing them and dropping the charges, the cops, if they're able to stop these riots before they even start, well, then it's just going to be a routine night, a couple hours work for the cops. You swoop in, you grab all these people, throw them in a truck. No riots, no fires, no protests, and people probably getting tired of being arrested so often. I also have some updates on what happened with the Denver incident, the shooting there at the security guard. I want to go over. We've got now people talking about new information, and I want to talk about how the media is playing this, and we'll clarify some of this. But let's read the story first. Mass arrest at small North Portland protest. According to journalists at the protest, nearly every demonstrator was arrested with little to no warning. They say, Portland, Oregon, a small crowd gathered outside of the Portland Police Bureau's North Precinct near Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Northeast Killingsworth Street. According to independent journalists reporting from the small protest, police only gave one warning before beginning a mass arrest. The arrest, according to freelance journalist Justin Yao, some of the arrestees were marked medics. Probably doesn't matter to the cops. Justin says, after one warning to stay off the streets, Portland Police Rapid Response arrived and conducted mass arrests. PPP did not declare an unlawful assembly. There wasn't even an assembly. Another freelance journalist, Alyssa Azar, posted video to her Twitter account of police dispersing press, despite it being unlawful to do so due to a temporary restraining order in place. The officer can be heard saying, I don't care what that TRO says. Wow. Lawlessness, man. Look, I know you might not like Antifa, and these courts are irksome, and the DA won't charge these people, but if no one is willing to abide by any rules, then where do we go? I don't know. Sergio Olmos, a reporter with Oregon Public Broadcasting, said the protest lasted only minutes and almost every demonstrator was arrested. Olmos goes on to say that police warned protesters to get out of the street where they did not have a permit to be walking. No unlawful assembly was declared. This is the 123rd day of protests in Portland, or 135th, depending on what your criteria is. The protests began because of George Floyd. We know this. Demonstrators have marched in protest of police brutality against the black community. That is a lie. There's the lie. And that's what we're going to be breaking down for y'all. You see, the reason these people got rounded up very, very quickly was because they are not, in fact, protesting for Black Lives Matter. They do not actually care about ICE detainees or any of this stuff. These are Antifa, revolutionary communists who are flying the Black Lives Matter flag to trick people into supporting them. How popular is communism? I mean, it's got its adherents, but it's not particularly. How popular is Black Lives Matter? I think their net support is around, 9 or so percent, meaning they have more support than opposition. I think total support, according to Civics for Black Lives Matter, is around 48 or 49%. The plurality, not the majority, but that's still a lot of people to pull from. So if they come out and they say, who wants to go, enact revolutionary communism, people don't come. You may have seen these in videos, these RevCom guys. They wear boots and uniforms and they march and they go left, right, left, and they're communists. Nobody wants to be a part of your kooky revolutionary communism. Black Lives Matter, however, is popular. It's in the NFL, it's in the NBA, it's on billboards. It attracts people. Well, they claim to be protesting for them. In fact, they aren't. And you end up seeing this. Rico Angelo De Vera You sly dog. I know about the direct action in Alberta tonight at 8 p.m. March starting at 9 p.m. How can the black community know about a BLM event when it's a secret? Like I said, don't use Black Lives Matter as a disguise for your activism. Bravo. 100% bravo. I know it's super secret, but can't help F things up for the white leftist community. Bravo. Look, man, these white leftist, progressive, wealthy people, they are hypocrites of the highest order. They're racist, and they're pretending to support Black Lives Matter because Antifa is less palatable, whatever. This person, Riot Barbie, says, who says the black community didn't know about it? Yikes, this is pretty effed up to put so many people in danger. Cry more. Icky says, they're acting like this is only a white people thing tonight. The person who told me and asked me to only tell trusted friends is definitely a POC organizer who works with and respects the BIPOC community. And there were definitely BIPOC out there, so I really doubt that. Okay, cop. Rico is completely right. Blocked the narc. Did the secret event use the wrong hashtags? So here's this tweet from Vito on Twitter. Portland Antifa tried to illegally assemble last night, only to find themselves immediately ambushed by police. Turns out Antifa journalist Free Frico was mad the event was organized by white people and leaked the plans out of spite. More than a dozen were arrested. Oh, yeah. And here we can see Ian Miles Chong tweeting. This is every Antifa militant who got arrested in Portland last night during their Black Lives Matter march that was cut short a few minutes in by police who gave them no time to respond. They're all white. I'm sorry. Didn't that other person just respond to Rico saying that there were definitely people of color involved in the organizing of this protest? Turns out they're all white, in which case it sounds like Rico was correct. And I applaud Rico. I absolutely do. First of all, I'm not anti-cop. So if you want to report to the police there's going to be a crime or unlawful activity, feel free to do so. Whereas the far leftists are like, if you tell the police, someone could die. There was that viral video from a CVS where some dudes were shoplifting and the store manager called the police, didn't press charges, just said, ask them to leave and never come back. They gave back the merchandise they stole. And someone filmed them saying, by calling the police, you could have killed them. Shut up, you lunatics. The cops aren't going to show up and just randomly kill somebody. That's so insane. There are bad moments. There are instances where people are, say, mentally ill and the police have killed them. I know about that, but come on, a routine shoplifting? These people are insane. But that's why I agree with Rico. I'm glad to see that a Black Lives Matter activist is pointing out all of these, middle to upper class white people from Portland pretending to be anti-racist are staging these ridiculous pro-communist, anti-capitalist marches and trying to use Black Lives Matter for political gain. Stop disguising your activism with Black Lives Matter. Look at all the people got arrested. That's all white. All a bunch of white people, some with crazy hair. Well, here's the funny reaction we see from a ton of different people. Some people are saying, LOL, they never told Black Lives Matter to begin with. Police chief, here's someone saying, police chief awards Rico key to the city for his help in removing dirty, disease-carrying rodents from the streets. Ha ha ha. Ian Miles Chong says, this tweet got a whole bunch of Antifa arrested in Portland last night. That and Rico actually tipped off the police about them. They were mad that Antifa is a white organization using Black lives as an excuse to commit violence. Oh, I want to give a standing ovation. Rico. This guy sided with the cops. Don't be like this traitor. Uh-oh. Traitor to you, Antifa? Black Lives Matter is fighting for something else. Effing based. Last night, there were mass arrests. This person who claims to be an independent reporter tweeted this out, deliberately placing individuals at risk. Shame on him and others that do this. Look at this effing snitch, says some Black Lives Matter account. We have a snitch who caused mass arrest at a non-publicly planned protest. May they rot in hell. Snitches get stitches. The fact that you are unapologetic, blah, blah, blah. You know what, man? You want to talk about the legality of the arrest? I'm down to have a conversation. I mean, should these people have been arrested before anything happened? I think the problem is that you can't charge them with anything because You can't say that just because there's been 123 nights of ongoing riots, that these individuals were the ones who committed the crime before. However, they may try and go for like RICO or conspiracy or something like that. And I think that's the move that's got to be made. I got to be honest with you. These people show up. They're wearing all black. They know what they're doing. They know what they're involved in. And I'll put it this way. Some have argued during it was called J20. It was the protest when Trump got inaugurated. Apparently, it was originally set up for Hillary Clinton, but Trump won. So, they went out and protested anyway. Or they rioted. They smashed things up. When these people all got arrested, they got charged with conspiracy. All right. Now, the courts basically found that just because someone's wearing a black hoodie and sweatpants or a mask, you can't claim they conspired to be involved in the crime, and you can't prove they committed it, creating a very difficult circumstance for the DA, for the prosecution. However, I would like to propose an idea that maybe justifies actually charging all of these people with conspiracy. Maybe it's true. Someone said, hey, we're going to have a protest. It's going to be against racism. It'll be peaceful. Oh, and wear a black hoodie. Why? Just wear a black hoodie. And that person, having no idea what's going on, never having been to a protest, shows up, puts on a black hoodie and says, okay, I'm here. Like, what's happening? Oh, no, they're throwing bricks and Molotovs. What do? I'll stay here, I guess. You want to argue that person wasn't conspiring and wasn't involved. I understand what you're trying to say. It could just be some dopey moron, a useful idiot. But let's try that with any other crime. Someone says, hey, you want to come to our big hangout at the bank tomorrow? Make sure you wear a mask and a black hoodie. And they go, okay. Now, would a reasonable person have an understanding of why someone would show up wearing a hoodie and a mask to a bank? If you then show up and there's a group of people who show up at the same time, and then you walk in the bank and then one of your cohorts wearing the same thing demands money, guess what? You're going to be charged as an accomplice and potentially conspiring to commit a felony because you adorned the same outfit and are assisting. So here's what I see as being, which may actually, so the challenge with conspiracy is proving they knew what they were doing and they were involved. You can charge them as an accomplice or something, I would imagine. I'm not a prosecutor or a lawyer, so I have no idea. But I'd imagine you could get that on something not necessarily conspiracy, but something akin to aiding and abetting the rest of these people. And maybe the problem we see with with what happened in Washington, D.C. when Trump got inaugurated was that they went for too harsh of charges, conspiracy instead of accomplice. Because if someone smashes the window and starts a fire and you're wearing the same thing to protect them from police, you're aiding and abetting. I guess the challenge is they would need to target the specific people who started the fires, so not entirely sure. But let's move on from it because I want to talk a bit. I want to give you an update on the story I did from this morning. As more information is coming out, it's really, really important. But I want to talk about how the media is playing this and how the left is desperately trying to defend this guy, this far leftist. So for those that aren't familiar, there was actually, I have the story right here. Patriot muster protester is seen in confrontation with another demonstrator before appearing to slap TV crew private security guard, who then shot him dead after he fired mace. We have some updates and some clarifications. First, there's a series of photos that show from amazing photographs from a great photographer, really, really great stuff. Shows what happened. It looks like the security guard was trying to grab the can of mace from the patriot, from the Trump supporter. The Trump supporter then slaps him in the face, knocking his hat off. The Trump supporter then takes 2 steps back. As he's doing this, you see the security guard grab his gun. In the next scene, the gun is already in the next photo, the gun is already discharged and the mace is being discharged. At that point, it's very likely the Trump supporter had already been shot in the face and he later died. What that says, and the update we have is, it looks like the Trump supporter was being attacked and was trying to retreat. We also have a statement from the journalist herself who took the photos who said a man came up behind her and started yelling at the Trump supporter. So who was this guy? They said initially that the Denver Post initially said this was a left-wing demonstrator. Let me show you this image. Will Sommer is a tribalist partisan. I wouldn't call him a journalist. I would say he's more of an active belligerent in the culture war. If you would like to say that I'm in a similar sense, then absolutely. He's not a neutral arbiter of fact. He's someone who tries to run cover for Antifa and other extremists. He said, here's how disinformation spreads. Someone is shot at a rally in Denver. Various right-wing personalities instantly claim Antifa did it and rack up thousands of RTs. The police say the suspect wasn't connected to Antifa, but that gets a fraction of the attention. Well, that's half true. I don't understand why an Antifa-aligned leftist would all of a sudden just believe the police, but sure. The police said they couldn't corroborate any affiliation. Well, it took the internet only a few minutes to do so. Turns out this guy is a leftist. I wouldn't call him Antifa, but if Antifa is just an idea, well, then he literally is. He's not someone, the shooter was not someone going around waving Antifa flags, but in every other aspect, he would align perfectly with Antifa. Wearing a mask, wearing black, showing up, shooting a Trump supporter. Okay, fine. Andy No responded saying, "Your tweet is disinformation. I didn't instantly claim it was Antifa. I shared what was in the Denver Post report, which was written by a journalist on the ground. The report was later updated after police statement contradicted the journalist's reporting. I added that in my thread." So this is how the left launders information. When the story first broke, I took a screenshot of the Post Millennial where Andy No writes for. Even though, this is important, the Denver Post definitively stated that it was a left-wing demonstrator. The Denver Post said a left-wing demonstrator shot a right-wing demonstrator. Andy No and the Post Millennial still said alleged Antifa. Now that to me is a sign of good journalistic ethics. They did not independently corroborate, so they didn't take the Denver Post at their word and added alleged. Later on, they went on to say it was a private security guard with no affiliation because the Denver police didn't actually do an investigation. They just saw them say, "That's our security guard." Oh, it wasn't a protester. Well, upon doing some basic sleuthing, it turns out the guy is. Take a look. The tattoo for the Denver shooter likely says sub.mission. You can see there's clearly 3 letters, then some kind of break and potentially a period followed by another word. We can see this. A flyer from the shooter's Facebook page. It says, Electronic Tuesdays with Matt the Alien, sub.mission. The potential for moving people through sound, not hype, and the Space Invaders logo. Thus, it would seem. The image, on the tattoo on his wrist says sub.mission with the Space Invaders logo. A lot of people are trying to claim that Space Invaders is an Antifa symbol. It's not. That's like saying the OK symbol is a white supremacist symbol. Space Invader is just a very, very, very popular video game. It's very prominent in street art. Space Invaders are prominent street artists. Just because somebody has a Space Invader tattoo doesn't make them Antifa. Just because someone gives an OK hand sign does not mean they're flashing white power. This is likely just sub.mission. But submission supports the riots, okay? Please, just bear with me. Sub.mission tweeted, "We stand with you, Denver. Donate to the Denver Sound System protest, June 3rd, 2020. What was happening in Denver on June 3rd? The George Floyd riots, as we've even seen from the first story I covered about the protesters in Portland, started at the end of May. The protest ignited May 28th. Now, depending on what your number is, sure, fine. They say 125th, 130th, whatever. May 28th was when the start of the protests happened. This post from Submission in support of someone presumably raising their fist because it's cut off, but she's wearing a mask and it says, support the protest. There are other posts from Submission saying they are accepting money to bail people out. They absolutely supported the riots. This guy was sent on the ground to a Trump rally and he was overtly a leftist. And that's just beyond irresponsible. We've got some more I want to show you. In one video, you can hear someone yell, "It was a white supremacist right in the dome, F yeah." And people are cheering. This is the kind of stuff that nightmares are made of. I tell you what. These people were cheering as that man lay dying. And apparently this is the guy. And this is one of the saddest stories, man. Ian Miles Chong, he wasn't a white supremacist. He loved his country. I have not independently verified this. It's just a tweet from Ian Miles Chong of 2 men smiling. And it looks like the guy on the right of the screen with the twisted hat is, they say he's the guy. I don't know for sure. I don't know the guy's name. It's just what's going around. But either way, man, when I remember when Charlottesville happened and that, nearly brought me to tears, this horrifying moment. I'm just sick of the violence. And the same thing with this guy right here. Ian has other posts saying the guy was like making cowboy hats. He was profiled by the Denver Post. Why was he shot in the face? For what? Because he had mace? That dude should have retreated. He's been charged with first-degree murder, and I hope that, I hope these people get, I hope there's justice. I do. In whatever form that takes. Maybe he'll plead down, whatever. But he had no reason to shoot this guy in the face over tear gas, over mace. That's insane. I want to say I can't believe that we've made it to this point, but we absolutely have. And this photo is really, really sad. I'm assuming it's the guy. Again, I didn't independently verify. And I'll tell you what worries me. Joe Biden says the only way he can lose in November is through chicanery at the polls, and accuses Trump of putting people with rifles in polling places, increasing fears that neither side will accept an election defeat. That's right. That's exactly right. Trump says, we won't lose unless they cheat. Biden says we won't lose unless they cheat. Both sides are going to accuse each other of cheating. And unless there's a landslide, I'm not even convinced in a landslide things will simmer down. I think that even if Biden wins, you're going to have a lot of people, left and right. Like I was saying earlier, the protests on J20 for Trump were supposed to be for Hillary. You think they're gonna just stop rioting if Joe Biden wins? Why? Does Joe Biden control Antifa? No. They're going to protest him too. But they're going to hope that he bends the knee. They may take that. Donald Trump, they'll absolutely riot. And I'm wondering about what the right will do. Because we've already seen... And I'll put it this way. Not that we've already seen. We've seen right-wing militias going out armed. We haven't seen them do anything particularly crazy. They try to claim the crazy guys in Michigan were right-wing militias, but they were anti-government extremists who are, trying to, whatever. They're anti-government. Some of them hated the Constitution. Some of them liked it. Some of them hated Trump. Some of them were pro-Black Lives Matter. It was just an eclectic group of anti-government individuals. But what about the real right-wing? What about the real militias? I've had people say to me that the real militias in this country you won't know about. They don't broadcast. They don't go on social media. They don't march around. They're operating. They have communication lines. They have food ready. They have camps ready. They know what they're doing. I wonder what they're going to do if Biden wins. I have no idea. Maybe nothing. Maybe life will just carry on. I guess we'll see in less than 1 month. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCast. It is my main channel, which is different from this one. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.